In Frankfort, Indiana, there's a roundhouse 100 years old, which still exists today, although I don't know how much longer it's going to be around. It used to serve the Nickel Plate Road Railroad and was located at an important hub between the Nickel Plate's Cloverleaf District and the Lake Erie and Western Peoria Division. That's where they crossed. I was able to find some documentation on this roundhouse. One was in a old magazine of Mile Railroad Planning, 1996. This was interesting. They had an article here on a day in the life at Frankfort Yard, which is where the roundhouse was located. You can see some locomotives parked right here, right outside the turntable in front of the roundhouse. So here's Frankfort, and you can see the two divisions coming together there. So that kind of goes through a day in the life of the yard. Here's Frankfort Yard as it stood. The most notable feature, other than the roundhouse in Frankfort Yard, is the large coaling facility, which also still stands today. And of course, we've got the roundhouse here on the southeast east corner of that. So this kind of takes you through the trains in and out of Frankfort Yard when business was booming as part of the nickel plate. And it even shows you kind of a reductive example of how you might realize that kind of layout. I was also able to find a dissertation written on the roundhouse. This was a thesis from Ball State University from Christy Hamilton, published in 2005. Here we go. There's all the signature pages. This is interesting because the roundhouse, like any historical landmark, went through a lot of changes over its life as it adapted to survive. So, you know, of course, going over 100 years, there's a lot of different requirements changes for the existence of that. And in here, we can see some nice details and historical photographs. There's a 1923 photograph where they did a lot of improvements to the structure. So here we can see an interior shot of the roundhouse and locomotive in for turning. We can see one of the smoke jacks coming up off the top, and some of the interior structure and the backside windows here, overhead beams. And here's the inspection pits, and again some more of the interior structure with the posts and the beams. And a little further on, and very useful, is a floor plan of the roundhouse, which is going to come in highly useful, because what I've been up to is designing a model of this in component form so that you could build one yourself in 1/48 scale. I started with kind of a more ceremonial object. So still to this day, there exists a base from what was the flagpole of the roundhouse, and I thought, well, that'd be a good way to kick the project off. So modest as it may be, has the nickel plate lettering. That flagpole base was put in 1940, so we have that in there as well, and it's beveled as such to the prototype. And if you're an O scale or 1/48 scale, just throw down a regular Weaver telephone pole into that base, and you will have yourself an official nickel plate flagpole to open up your operations. Next up, going through photographs, and I've received a lot of great resource material from some kind individuals around the country in the form of photographs and even some drawings, as I came across one of the entrance signs, which the trucks would drive underneath on their way in and out of the Roundhouse. And it was hand painted, hand lettered, said Nickel Plate Road, safety starts here. Really liked the looks of that sign. So I generated one, and here it is. Let me pick it up here. And what I've done is come up with a design for the top, which was some sheet metal, and then there's also a light that overhangs. And then you can just use some brass tubing for the uprights. For the lettering, that was hand painted in blue with both a white perimeter on the Nickel Plate Road and then a white drop shadow to the bottom right on the safety starts here. And so I generated a graphic of that, which you can make a decal out of. And I've posted that file online, so you can download that. And the STL file will print you out the safety sign, and you can go to any one of many custom decal manufacturers and have that graphic turned into a decal. I happen to use Fusion Scale Graphics. They did a really nice job, as you can see. And lastly, I'll just mention, although I did design up the light fixture there all in one piece, it is fairly fragile. So on this one, I ended up just kind of using it as a guide, and then I clipped the conduit part of it and just replaced it with a bent piece of wire. So if you knock into it, it won't just come off. Okay, and the inspection pits. So from some of the drawings, I was able to generate the inspection pits, and then from the pictures, I was able to generate some of the details in the inspection pits. So that's what we have down here. And so these are true Frankfort Roundhouse inspection pits. They even have a little bit of pitch to them. If you get a little rain going on, everything will come down here and run into the drain. And then they have the heater ducts coming in at an angle as well. The beams are all here on the side with appropriate lengths and widths, and there's some built-in wheel stops here in the end. I made this so that some micro-engineering rail can just slide right in after you clip off the ties, and there's some keepers in there that'll retain the rail within the pit. So this is just primed gray, so you can see some of the detail, but I'll be painting and weathering this shortly. And then the last part that I test printed out would be the smoke jack itself. So there were many of these located throughout the Roundhouse and at a couple different locations, depending upon which stall we're talking about. But here's the model of that, and it's got all the rivets and the beams that they hung from. And the top part up here, this is in two pieces. So, obviously these would be located kind of at the end of the stall like this. But there's an example of one of the first ones that I printed out before that. So these particular parts are mostly done. I'm tuning up a couple things on the keepers of the rail here. I think I can do a little better job at everything else that you see here is pretty much done. And meanwhile, I have been posting a lot of the files online for the other interior beams and structure. Those are a work in progress. Dimensionally, everything is complete. But what's left to do is to add some of the steam piping and electrical conduit and air lines that ran throughout. So that'll all be kind of one piece with each of the uprights. In the end, what we'll have is some templates that can help locate and hold together in an interlocking manner all the vertical posts, and then also position all of the inspection pits at the correct angle. And so you'll basically kind of build the Roundhouse from the ground up, like the real thing. So I just wanted to share this with you. This is kind of an intro and a preview of what's to come. And like I said, I've been very busy on the next steps, and the next video I make will be able to show off some more of that interior structure, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, thank you for your time. Talk to you later.